You know what the worst part about dying in space is? The waiting. Not the actual dying part, mind you. That comes quick enough when your oxygen scrubbers fail and your hull starts cracking like an eggshell under a boot. No, the worst part is sitting there in the dark, watching your distress beacon blink its pathetic little signal into the void, knowing that absolutely nobody is coming to save you. I'm Vektar, by the way. Communications officer aboard the Singing Blade, which sounds way more impressive than it actually is. I should say. Because 3 cycles ago, we got ambushed by Krell raiders near the Obsidian Nebula, and now we're drifting through space like a very expensive, very dead piece of garbage. Vektar, anything? Captain Morvartha's voice crackled through my headset. She sounded tired. We all sounded tired. Negative, Captain, I replied, staring at my console. The distress signal kept transmitting, kept bouncing off empty space, kept getting absolutely zero response. The Galactic Council's nearest patrol is 6 jumps away. They said, and I quote, "Your situation has been logged for future reference." Future reference. Beautiful. I'm sure our corpses will appreciate that. What about the Zenthari? Morvarth asked, desperation creeping into her voice. I checked. They're in the middle of their Lunar Silence Festival. Won't respond to hails for another 8 rotations. Someone laughed. Actually laughed. It was Krieg, our weapons officer, and it was the kind of laugh that happens when you've accepted that the universe has a sick sense of humor. So we're alone, Morvarth said flatly. Completely and utterly alone, I confirmed. The thing is, this wasn't exactly surprising. The Obsidian Nebula sits in what we call the Forgotten Quarter. Too far from Council space to matter, too close to pirate territory to be safe, and too economically worthless for anyone to care. Ships that die out here stay dead. That's just how it works. Our life support had maybe 12 hours left. The hull breach in Section 7 was spreading. And the Krell, who'd already stripped us of anything valuable, had kindly left us with just enough systems running to die slowly. Captain, I said, there is one more option. The silence that followed told me everyone knew what I was about to suggest. No, Morvarth said immediately. Hear me out. Absolutely not. Captain, we're dying anyway. What's the harm in? Vektar, I will not waste our final hours chasing fairy tales. Ah, there it was. The thing nobody in the civilized galaxy liked to talk about. Humanity. See, humans were legends. Stories. The kind of thing you heard about in bars from traders who'd had too much to drink. They came from a backwater planet called Earth, supposedly joined the galactic community about 60 cycles ago, made a bunch of noise, caused some trouble, and then just vanished. Pulled back to their own space. Built walls. Stopped answering calls. Most species figured they'd gone extinct. Or never existed in the first place. Just another myth in a galaxy full of them. But here's the thing. Their last known territory? About 2 jumps from our current position. Captain, I said slowly, we have nothing to lose. Morvarth was quiet for a long moment. I could hear the ship groaning around us, metal protesting its slow death. Fine, she finally said. Send the signal. But when nothing happens, I don't want to hear about it. I reprogrammed our beacon. Changed the frequency to the old human channels we had on file. Added our coordinates. Hit transmit. And waited. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Life support dropped to critical levels. The temperature started falling. Krieg stopped making jokes. That's how I knew things were really bad. Told you, Morvarth muttered. I didn't respond. Just kept watching my console, watching that signal disappear into nothing, watching the timer count down to our inevitable. Wait. My screen flickered. Just once. So fast I almost missed it. Captain, I whispered. What? Something just pinged us back. Everyone went silent. You could hear the ship's dying systems humming in the background. That's impossible, Morvarth said. There's nothing out here. But my console disagreed. Because right there, clear as crystal, was a return signal. And it was getting stronger. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, I reported, my heart's hammering. Moving fast. Really fast. Identification? I checked. Rechecked. Checked again because what I was seeing couldn't possibly be right. Captain, I said quietly, it's broadcasting human signatures. Multiple ships. And they're big. Morvarth moved to my station, looked at my screen. I watched her face go through several expressions at once. Disbelief. Hope. Terror. How many ships? She asked. I counted. Kept counting. Stopped counting because the numbers kept climbing. I'm reading 47 distinct signatures, Captain. Correction, 63. No, wait. The ships kept coming. Dropping out of whatever impossible drive system they used. Filling my sensors like a swarm of very angry, very armed insects. And then my communications console lit up like a festival display. Incoming hail. Human origin. I looked at Morvarth. She nodded. I opened the channel. A voice came through. Male. Calm. With this weird accent that made every word sound slightly amused. This is Commander Jake Morrison of the Human Defense Fleet, responding to distress call. Sorry for the delay, we were in the neighborhood and figured we'd see what all the fuss was about. Looks like you folks could use a hand. Sit tight. Cavalry's here. I stared at my console. The cavalry. They actually said cavalry. Humans were real. And they just brought an entire fleet to save 4 dying strangers in the middle of nowhere. What in the name of the void had we just summoned? So here's something they don't tell you about humans in those half-drunk trader stories. They're absolutely insane. I'm watching my scanner, right? And these human ships, they're not approaching carefully like any sane species would. They're not running threat assessments or establishing safe perimeters. No. They're flying straight into an active debris field at speeds that should theoretically turn them into cosmic paste. Human vessels, I transmitted, trying to keep my voice steady. You should be advised that this area is extremely dangerous. There are Krell mines still active and... Yeah, we see them, Commander Morrison replied, sounding almost bored. Don't worry about it. We'll clean those up real quick. Clean them up. These were military-grade proximity mines. Each one could vaporize a frigate. I watched in absolute horror as the human ships just flew through them. Except the mines never detonated. Every single explosive device within range suddenly went dark on my sensors. What did you just do? I asked. Hacked them, Morrison said casually. Krell encryption is pretty basic once you crack the base algorithm. We've been dealing with their tech for years. Your mine problem is now officially someone else's problem. Preferably there's when they come back looking for salvage. Captain Morvarth was gripping my console so hard I thought she might break it. They hacked active mines. While flying through them. At combat speed. Apparently, I said weakly. 3 human ships broke formation and approached the singing blade. Up close, they were even more terrifying. These weren't the sleek, elegant vessels you see in council fleets. These were brutal, angular things covered in weapons that looked like they'd been bolted on as an afterthought. Function over form taken to a violent extreme. Singing blade, this is Rescue Team Alpha, a new voice said. Female this time. We're matching your spin and preparing to dock. Medical team is standing by. How many souls aboard? 4, Morvarth replied. But our docking collar is damaged. Not a problem, Captain. We brought cutting tools. I heard Krieg laugh again, but this time it sounded different. Less like acceptance of death, more like disbelief at being alive. The human ship, which was maybe 3 times our size, aligned itself with our hull. Through our failing viewport, I could see figures moving inside. They worked with this ruthless efficiency, cutting through our damaged collar like it was tissue paper. Then they were inside. Actual humans. Walking onto our ship wearing these bulky suits covered in equipment I couldn't identify. The lead figure, a woman with red hair visible through her helmet, pulled it off and grinned at us. Afternoon, folks. I'm Lieutenant Sarah Okonkwo. Sorry about the mess we're making of your door. We'll have you patched up in no time. She wasn't even breathing hard. Just walked onto a dying ship in hostile space and smiled like she'd stopped by for tea. You came, Morvarth said, and I heard something break in her voice. You actually came. Okonkwo's expression softened. Of course we came, Captain. You called. We answer. That's how this works. Within minutes, and I mean minutes, the humans had us stabilized. They brought portable life support that hooked into our systems. Sealed the hull breach with some kind of foam that hardened instantly. Started repairs on our engines that our own engineers said would take weeks. I don't understand, I said to one of the human technicians working on my console. His name was Marcus Liu, and he was fixing our communications array while simultaneously eating something he called a sandwich. Why did you come? We're nobody. Our cargo is worthless. There's no strategic value to this sector. Marcus looked at me like I'd asked why water was wet. Your people in trouble. That's reason enough. But the cost, I pressed. Fuel, resources, personnel. You brought an entire battle group for 4 random aliens. Battle group? Marcus laughed. Buddy, this is a patrol squadron. You should see what we deploy for actual emergencies. A patrol squadron. 60+ warships. Just casually hanging around the edges of known space. Captain Morvarth was talking with Commander Morrison on the viewscreen. He looked younger than I expected. Humans apparently aged weird. Commander, I have to ask, Morvarth said. Where have you been? The galaxy thought your species was gone. Dead or disbanded or... We got tired of the politics, Morrison said simply. The Council, the trade federations, everyone squabbling over resources and territory while actual people suffered. So we left. Built our own networks. Focused on what mattered. And what matters. Morrison's expression went serious. Making sure that when someone screams into the void for help, someone screams back. We monitor every distress frequency. Every emergency channel. Human or not. Doesn't matter. You call, we come. I felt something weird happening in my chest. Hope, maybe. Or just shock at the sheer audacity of it. The Krell will come back, Morvarth warned. When they see you've rescued us, they'll want revenge. Morrison's smile was terrifying. Good. Saved us the trouble of hunting them down. We've been meaning to have a conversation with their leadership about their raiding policies. On my scanner, I watched the human fleet arrange itself into a defensive formation around us. Weapons systems went live. Shields at full power. They weren't preparing to run. They were preparing to fight. For us. For strangers. Species they'd never even met before today. Vektar, Krieg called from across the bridge. You seeing this? I checked my console. New contacts dropping out of faster than light. Krell signatures. Lots of them. They'd come back with reinforcements, probably expecting easy salvage. They were about to get a very different reception. All ships, battle stations, Morrison ordered calmly. Let's show our new friends what happens when you leave people to die in council space. The first Krell ship dropped out of their jump barely 1,000 kilometers away. Their weapons charged. Their targeting systems locked on. And then 63 human warships opened fire at once, and I learned what real firepower looked like. It wasn't even a fight. It was a demonstration. The Krell retreated after losing half their ships in the first 90 seconds. Morvarth sat down heavily in her command chair. Who are these people? I watched the human fleet maintain position, watched them continue repairs on our ship, watched them treat us like we mattered. I think, I said slowly, they're exactly who they say they are. The ones who answer when you call. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought about all those other distress signals. All those other lost ships. All those other species who'd given up hope because nobody came. Not anymore. Because humanity was listening. And apparently, they brought friends. Big, heavily armed, absolutely crazy friends. But friends nonetheless.